present For the Record with Neil Heinen.
Professional licenses and credentials, legal and policy guidance for professional boards, public safety inspections of commercial buildings, amusement park rides and elevators, and so much more. A conversation with Acting Secretary of the Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services, Dawn Crim, is next on For the Record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Heinen. The Department of Safety and Professional Services includes one of the more diverse and eclectic policy oversight functions in state government. Ever wonder who checks out those roller coasters every year? And how about licensing more than 200 different types of credentials? It's a big agency with a big job, and you'll learn much more as I welcome to For the Record Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services Acting Secretary Dawn Crim. Secretary, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you
in this new role.
Yep.
All right, so it's awkward to call you acting secretary, and yet it is technically true. Just to explain to people that you've yet to be confirmed
Correct.
by the legislature, with a number of others, even though it's been more than a year.
Almost short of a year.
But the fact is that it has no influence on how you do your job.
Well, I'm focused on the task at hand every day, and I have the title. I realize there's a process to when it becomes official, but each day I'm focused on the work that we need to do at our agency.
Well, if I forget to use the word acting, people will understand. As I said, Secretary, it is as eclectic a department, and I think probably fair to say that a lot of people are not familiar with it, particularly under its relatively new name, Safety and Professional Services. How do you describe it? How do you describe your work?
Well, it's interesting. We are small, but we're mighty. We are, I always say we were born from the merger of the Department of Commerce and the Department of Regulation and Licensing. Right. And so we have both components, all of the occupational licenses and all of the safety. So really what we're doing is we are an economic driver, helping people get their credentials that they need to do work, but also ensuring that the citizens are safe.
It would almost be easier to list who is not regulated by your department. Doctors.
No, we have doctors.
I'm sorry, teachers?
Yes,
right?
Teachers. Lawyers, not lawyers either.
Teachers and lawyers, the two big groups. But I mean, I'm going to mention some of the other 200 later. But that you have a huge team of people.
I do.
Responsible for that function.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people are annual credentials and license renewals for a lot of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so when you think about our agency, what I often share is we are 250 individuals. We are located in 5 offices around the state. That would be Hayward, Onalaska, Green Bay, Waukesha, and Madison. Okay. And so when you think about those 5 offices, it was important for me to really get out to know what we do. So I've actually been to all 5 offices twice, and what I find is I'm able to represent the agency because I'm learning what we do day to day. So I've inspected rides with our staff, I have talked with firefighters, I have gone on building inspections, I've sat alongside our staff that processes credentials. It's really understanding how the work is done, where some of the challenges are, and then how we think about efficiencies. Right. But you don't know that unless you're really spending time with the team, and the staff's been great. Taught me everything I know so far for this agency. I think
it's helpful just to explain the 5 divisions within the department.
I think that'd be great.
I mean, and just start with industry services, which is even more than it sounds. That has field services, technical services, administrative services, fire prevention programs.
Yep. It's an array, and so even as I thought about the division administrator for that area, I could have looked at people that have experience in building codes, inspections, plan reviews, or I could look at people that have the background with firefighters and things of that nature. And so Johnny Winston Jr. is my division administrator there, comes out of a fire background, but when you think about the work a firefighter does, you have to know how buildings are set up. When you go in, you're thinking about codes, you're thinking about standards, and so it's a wonderful mix of both.
So when you think about building inspection, though, I mean, cities and counties, municipal governments have building inspection functions as well. What's the relationship there?
It's a wonderful partnership. We have delegated agents in some of the larger cities that are tasked with doing many of the same functions that my staff does, and we work together. We're all ensuring that the codes are as they should be and that we're doing handoffs with one another. So in my work, I'm also visiting delegated agents, talking with them about their processes as well.
I don't know how many people think about inspections of boilers,
boilers,
regularly.
Elevators, and
However, you know, the whole idea of amusement rides, which we've already mentioned, and elevators.
Yeah.
How many people on a ride or in an elevator, you know, think, I wonder when was the last time this was inspected, and am I safe?
You're right. And the nice thing is, they don't have to think about it because I do and because our staff does. But I tell you, I do think about amusement rides differently now that I've actually been on the ground inspecting. I'm thinking about elevators. I'm looking for things. So it's a whole different vantage point now that I'm kind of under the tent with directly working with our staff on the mechanisms needed to do the work.
Is there a science, for lack of a better word, to how frequently inspections need to be done? And then is there tension between having enough people and performing all of the inspections that are required on a timely basis?
Yep, and that's why, you know, we don't do this work alone. We collaborate with stakeholders. We have the delegated agents. We are looking at what the appropriate time frame is for inspections. Annual is what we try to get to, but we do have safety checks. We have partners that have actually run businesses for 20+ years that also know how the work goes. So what's really cool is when you're on a job site and you're talking with your staff who's also talking with somebody that's been in management for 20 years and seeing their relationships and the way that we all are looking at safety together.
How much of this is a complaint function, Secretary, or just a request for information from citizens who want to know? You know, I was in this building, something didn't look right to me. How often do you do this? I mean, do you get a lot of that?
I wouldn't say a lot, but I think people are curious. You want to know how things operate, and you want to make sure that you're safe. And so the cool thing about the work that we do is we try and take the thoughts about safety out of people's head where they can just enjoy or experience what they need to experience. I had an opportunity when we were in the building function of Aldi's. They're doing renovations around the state. Well, when you go to shop, you're not wanting to think about, am I safe? You want to think, what's on sale, where's the produce? And so we remove that aspect, ensuring that things are done correctly and that the relationships are in place with those who actually own the properties so we all are on the same page around safety.
When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the licensing function for professional credentials with Acting Secretary of the Department of Safety and Professional Services, Dawn Crim, right after this.
For the Record, sponsored by MG&E, your community energy company.
So my son says to me, Mom, did you switch your Medicare plan yet? And I say, yes, Robert. Dad and I signed up for a Medicare Advantage plan through Senior Preferred. And he says, Senior Preferred? And I say, yes, Senior Preferred. They give us access to the doctors we want and the drug benefits we need. And he says, that's nice. So how is Dad doing? And I say, your father is fine. My living room, on the other hand.
Senior Preferred. Medicare Advantage plans built for you.
Every once in a while, something comes along so masterful, it leaves you in awe. So inspiring, it changes your life. So beautiful, you wish it would never end. When that happens, it's something not to be missed. Shen Yun. Returning to Overture Center for the Arts, February 4th and 5th. Tickets at shenyun.com/WI.
The Black Friday Super Sale at Denver Mattress is happening now. So take advantage of the season's best financing with 7 years no interest and find huge savings on Tempur-Pedic and Sealy mattress sets. Plus, save $100 on all Doctor's Choice mattresses, any size, any model. Or choose your best deal with a free Sleep Essentials bundle, a free twin-size Summit mattress, or save $100 on every $1,000 you spend. And did we mention 7 years no interest? But don't wait. The Black Friday Super Sale at Denver Mattress ends Monday.
It's a bold new breed. It's the all-new best Outback ever. The 2020 Subaru Outbacks are at Don Miller. Now, with the Subaru Share the Love event, Subaru will donate $250 for every new Subaru vehicle sold or leased from November 14, 2019 through January 2nd, 2020. Lease the Subaru Outback Premium, $249 per month, 36 months, 10,000 miles per year. No security deposit, $1949 due at signing. Don Miller Subaru, west on Odana or east side, High Crossing Boulevard, Madison.
Don Miller.
The Department of Safety and Professional Services is the government agency that regulates everything from building inspections to licensing credentials for over 200 different professions. Acting Secretary Don Crim is my guest this morning. I mean, it just strikes me that this licensing function is probably one of the most important in terms of a lot of people's livelihoods.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're dependent on getting licensed from the state. So, you know, who determines what professions are licensed by you, and then how do the requirements differ? How do you regulate all of the different types of requirements that are necessary?
Yep. Well, luckily the agency existed before I arrived.
You didn't have to make it all up yourself.
I had to make it all up myself. Right. So I am working from existing statutes. Right. I am working from people that are actually in the industry. As industry changes, as modernizations happen, there are changes that come about. So we actually have over 100 boards and councils, many of which are made of people who are in the profession talking about what day-to-day encounters they have.
And your department oversees those boards.
Yes, my department
provides resources to those boards.
Provides resources, ensures that we have, as they're thinking about an idea, we start vetting, asking questions, holding hearings, public input sessions to see where the changes might go. We also are a part of a occupational licensing consortium that is nationwide, where we're talking with other states about how our licenses working in their areas, where are things that changes that we all should be aware of, where are maybe barriers that we should be aware of. And so it's nice to look at what's happening in professions in your state, but also what's happening across the country, so that you're making an informed decision, really having the landscape.
I've got to ask you about a couple of these, Secretary.
Okay.
Ringside physician.
Yeah, how about
I didn't know we had many ringside physicians in this state anymore. And then second, I mean, that sounds a little bit like Hamilton to me.
Well, what has happened is one of our newest licenses, mixed martial arts. So there are 11 licenses that are attached with an event. So you need the ringside physician to actually check.
Okay, so that's where it came from, was MMA.
MMA. That's where it came from.
And there are seconds in MMA?
There's all kinds of, there's the doctors, the judges. So there are all aspects that we're ensuring that, one, is a safe environment, and that people know if they're competing, that safety is at the forefront.
Yeah. Yeah. Referee also jumped out at me, only because there's a pretty active conversation about a shortage of referees. Now, I don't know if this is just MMA that you're dealing with, or if it's also high school referees.
It's mostly MMA that we're dealing with.
Okay, so there's probably no shortage there.
Not on the MMA side.
Help me with some of the occupations, Secretary, that have been in the news lately. Talked about changing regulations for some of them, and I think dental assistants, is that one? And then maybe even teachers is another.
Yeah, but we'll let DPI handle
and so that
teachers.
Wouldn't fall, even if it was not the DPI regulated teacher, there's not a move to have a different type of occupation under your department?
Not that we've heard about, but really we often are reacting to some of the ideas that the legislators have regarding some of these different professions. And then we're able to go to our boards, people that are in the profession, to get insight and input, to hear where they think things should fall. So we don't make decisions in a vacuum. We really are listening to the public, listening to actually people in the industry in order to make informed decisions.
So what's the status of the conversation around dental assistants?
Well, it's bill legislation that's been announced, and so
there's a bill that's introduced.
I don't know if it's actually been introduced. It's still being discussed, so it's been announced.
Okay.
And so there are several steps that happen before it actually gets to us. So it actually hasn't, in hard copy, gotten to us yet, and we haven't been asked to actually act on it just yet.
But so you haven't even started doing the kind of research that you were just talking about?
Nope. Not on our part yet.
At some point that work will begin.
Yep.
And then it's just a matter of how long it takes to do that kind of stuff.
It can take almost 18 months to 2 years for a bill to actually go through the entire process.
Right.
Yep.
And then longer for your work to be done.
Well, our work is within it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, that's part of the whole process.
But then when it's actually published, that happens through the legislature. We actually don't approve or write bills. We don't approve them.
How common is that people bring up new licensing needs?
In my 11 months, that's the new one that we've been talking about. So that's kind of my first experience. I'm just going through that process.
And just through changes in culture, Secretary, in technology, do you need to update the whole requirement procedure?
Well, I don't know if you need to update the entire thing. I think you want to look at where the technology can enhance. So, for example, earlier this year with the physicians, I attended the medical conference, and there was a lot of discussion around artificial intelligence and what role that plays versus how it can support the work of the physician. I've been meeting with Mayo Clinic. They've talked a lot about telemedicine. You know, what role does that play, especially for our rural areas? How can that assist? I've been talking with our sign language interpreters. As they look at telemedicine, they are wanting to ensure that nothing gets lost in the translation for the hard of hearing or the deaf patient because things are translated in other ways. So there's a lot of different angles and a lot of different stakeholders that you have to take into consideration when you're thinking about how bill changes occur and what the impacts might be.
Right. No, I think there's probably a lot of educational institutions out there who are preparing people for a lot of these fields. And of course, with your experience at the UW, I'm sure you can see some of them. But how closely does your agency work with the technical colleges or even the trades when it comes to this stuff?
You are naming all of my partners. You know, nobody does this work alone. So when you think about building a workforce, where are people being trained? Who can help with the training of the work? What are the new standards? And how are we staying fresh? And so our technical college partners are so important to the work that we're doing in terms of bringing people into the profession, in terms of what are the new standards and the nimbleness that's needed because things are changing. And so we want to be a part of that conversation, but we also know that we can't provide everything that's needed. So it's good to have partners that you can work closely with to make sure the education happens. And then when people are ready to get the credentials, there we are.
I want to talk a little bit more about access and how citizens interact with the Department of Safety and Professional Services. And we'll do that with Secretary Dawn Crim when we come back.
Shop Wild Easttown Honda for final clearance savings on over 400 new Hondas. Lease a new all-wheel drive HRV with sunroof for only $179. Just $179 at Wild Easttown Honda in Madison. It's gotta be wild.
Get new floors during Empire Today's gigantic 75% off sale. That's carpet, laminate, and even hardwood 75% off. Empire makes getting beautiful new floors easy. See samples in your home, get a free estimate, and have your floors professionally installed. Update your floors with Empire and get 75% off carpet, laminate, and hardwood. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire. Today. In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, helped me pay for my house. Being part-time really helped because I could have some opportunities that were still in education.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service.
Bob's Discount Furniture is the only place you can find my Panther. It's got comfy Bobapedic seating, dual power recliners, and power headrests. My Panther... Okay. Light up cup holders, hidden storage, and a drop-down table with reading lights and power outlets. With Bob's Discount, it's only $12.99. My Panther... Roar! Wow! Okay, who's doing that?
Get Bob's Discount!
My rank for the military is retired sergeant major. I was eating some food and a tooth had fell out from my dentures. As a young soldier, you're looking up to me, and if your teeth are hurting, they see it. I called Aspen Dental, and I didn't have to wait. They had that genuine concern for you, which ultimately was going to make me feel more confident about myself and in front of soldiers.
At Aspen Dental, we're all about yes. Like yes, we repair and reline dentures while you wait. Yes, right now repairs start at $49. And yes, we'll give you a smile worthy of you and your troops. Call now at 1-800-ASPEN-DENTAL.
Shop Wild Easttown Honda for final clearance savings on over 400 new Hondas. Lease a new all-wheel drive CR-V with sunroof for only $249. Just $249 at Wild Easttown Honda in Madison. It's gotta be wild.
We are talking about the Department of Safety and Professional Services, the state cabinet office that Don Crim is the acting secretary of. And you mentioned the 5 offices, Secretary. I wasn't even familiar with that, but I think it suggests that there needs to be access points for citizens to interact with your office.
Yep.
And that's one way of doing it.
Yep, and each of the 5 offices has a counter, and at the counter we handle our credentials, but mostly we handle plan reviews and all of the building plans that come in. We, as I think about my priorities, stabilization with the workforce, ensuring that we have the resources to do the work, modernization, so we're moving many things into an electronic environment, trying to be more efficient, and then of course safety is of paramount concern, so making sure that all the work that we're doing, we are keeping our eye on the safety component. And then the collaboration. We can't do this work alone. I mean, 5 offices around the state, when you think about 72 counties, there is a lot of spaces our mobile resource units need to go. And so that's why we're uniquely positioned so we can get to deploy the resources in the manner that we need to.
I've never had to apply for credentials, Secretary. I mean, how many of these have tests? And I mean, other than just applications and fees, there's a variety of...
We have a whole testing unit. Yep. So there are, and then there's continuing education.
Do most of them require testing?
Most, and some of it doesn't happen once you get the credentials. Some is before you enter the industry, but then there's continuing education credits that's also needed. And it's a wide range, and so it differs among professions.
How much of this is available online? I don't mean the testing necessarily, but the applying for licenses and that kind of stuff.
You're able to actually go right online and apply. You can do 10 of our occupational licenses, and then we're moving a lot of our trades. And so this has been a major modernization project that I've encountered when I arrived. We're in the 4th year, but there's 3 more years to go, finishing up the first phase in which we are trying to modernize the infrastructure. And with that, there are some pain points because people are trying to process credentials but also learn the system. So there's some challenges and problem solving that we're juggling, but people are working really hard to ensure that we do the good work. And I don't know if people realize, but we touch 1 in 3 Wisconsinites.
Yeah, that's
1 in 3.
That's astonishing. And you know, I say that I think people wouldn't necessarily recognize the Department of Safety and Professional Services, but probably more do than I think, because they've interacted with it before.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't going to be able to get to everything in your department in this half hour, but there were a couple of things that just jumped out at me. The rental weatherization program.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, ensuring that people have access to weatherization, because with good weatherization, your codes and your buildings can run more efficiently. So they're working hand in hand. It's not always just how it's built, but it's how it's maintained.
So, well, then how about stuff like solar panels and even, you know, the newer technologies? That is something that needs inspection from your office?
It is, and it's something that, as you think about learning, we are learning as well. So as new technologies come in, as energy codes and efficiencies come into play, our staff is training and learning so that they can meet the new demands and change with technology as well.
And then the fire prevention program.
Yep.
2% fire dues. I don't think I'm not familiar with that.
Yep. So the 2% fire dues actually pays for a lot of the firefighting training that happens. This year we updated our SPS 330, which is about health and safety regulations for firefighters. We want to be sure that everybody comes home safely, and their job isn't just to make sure you're safe, but we have to make sure they're safe as well. And that 2% fire dues works with insurance, and it actually pays for the training and the work that firefighters go through so that they can also be ready and in time with what needs to happen.
Just before we end, talk about the function of the cabinet secretaries under Governor Evers. Yep. What's that like as a group?
As a group?
To support each other.
Well, what's exciting about it is he's hired people that have the expertise to do the job, and so he's about connecting the dots. And so we all work together to problem solve. So this year is the year of clean drinking water. So DNR is leading that work. DATCAP has a role as the Safety and Professional Services. You mentioned solar. Yep. So when you talk about energy efficiencies, our Public Service Commissioner is doing that work. And when you think about the code work, it connects to us because our people are also doing that work. So it really is about connecting dots, seeing where efficiencies are, and how we all can work together to problem solve for the citizens.
I'm going to invite people to go to your website, Secretary, to see your staff because it's one of the most intentionally diverse staffs, I think, of any cabinet department. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you very much.
We're going to come back and wrap up For the Record right after this.
MG&E, building a community energy company for the future through the power of working together, committed to cleaner, more sustainable energy, driven by innovation, fostered by shared values. Energy2030together.com.
Ashley Home Store's official Black Friday sale starts now. Save up to 60% off furniture and as much as 70% off mattresses store-wide. Plus, get a holiday bonus 5% off our furniture sale prices at checkout. And finance interest-free for 5 whole years. Hurry in and shop these amazing doorbusters throughout the store. Black Friday is on. Only at America's #1 furniture and mattress store. Ashley Home Store. This is home.
When looking for a TV and internet provider, we know you have a choice. This is Jessica. She still has satellite TV.
Well, I get tons of HD.
Spectrum has tons of HD, and we love Spectrum's 24-hour local news channel. Plus, we get exclusive access to premium original content with Spectrum Originals.
I don't have that.
Get Spectrum TV from $44.99 a month. Call 833-976-4499.
Spectrum Internet starts at 200 megabits with no data caps and a free modem.
We have to get internet from another company, and it isn't nearly as fast.
Spectrum Internet, $44.99 a month.
I'd switch, but I'm stuck in a contract and would have to pay up to $480 to cancel.
Spectrum has no contracts, and they'll pay up to $500 to help you out of yours.
That's it. I'm switching to Spectrum.
Get Spectrum TV and internet from $44.99 a month each. Call 833-976-4499.
MG&E, building a community energy company for the future through the power of working together, committed to cleaner, more sustainable energy, driven by innovation, fostered by shared values. Energy2030together.com.
My thanks to Secretary Don Crim and to you for joining us. We'll see you next week on For the Record.